I'm just like, what's the point?
Yeah.
We're professionals. Hello, this is another amazing episode and awkward opening of Macabre Monthly. This is one of your hosts, Matt Orozco, and I'm with the always amazing
Lowell Greenblatt, and I didn't have to burp, so
uh,
could have just skated by that factoid, but you get what you pay for.
Yep, we're all the better for knowing that. That's the truth, is what I'd say. We're also joined by a third person today. We have John. John is a buddy of mine here in Ohio. Got an Instagram account, but I'll let him talk a bit about himself, and we'll dive into our typical shenanigans.
Yep, I'm John from Ohio, like you said. Probably a little bit obsessed with horror movies like these two fellas. If you talk to any ordinary person, I suppose. Obviously lucky enough to have Matt here move to Ohio, somebody a little bit like-minded like myself. And we both are also kind of poster obsessed, so I was lucky enough to get invited to talk about some of them, and obliged.
Awesome. We're happy to have you, John. And
Woohoo.
you're new Lowell. That's all I'm saying. Is like, now I'm sorry, Lowell. This is how it ends.
Hey, he's Crystal Lowell. I'm original Lowell.
Well, there is a rarity to Crystal Lowell, so or the Crystal Pepsi, I guess, because that's where we're going with this. Crystal Pepsi. I have no idea.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was literally that.
Relevant. Anyways, yeah, this is awesome. I was really excited to have John join us for this because, as John mentioned, both really into prints, poster art, one sheets. So this is a good opportunity to kind of talk about that in a bit more detail. And I think everyone will enjoy the picks that we've put together. And if you don't, go fuck yourself because you don't matter. But anyways, yeah. So anyway, what have you been watching, Lowell? What's been on your docket?
I've been revisiting a few things, seeing a few new things as usual. I went to the New Jersey Horror Con in Edison last weekend, and there were some people there from the new Friday the 13th remake, some people from the People Under the Stairs, shook some hands, got some autographs, and it inspired me to rewatch the Friday the 13th remake, which I if you love Friday the 13th, I don't know how you could hate this movie if you do. I mean, I guess I've heard from talking head segments and documentaries that people didn't like it, but I don't know who those people are. This movie fucking rules. It's people, bots, if you will.
Hey,
yeah. Yeah. Who's they? What's an aluminum falcon? Yeah, we're time here. Yeah, it's just a great slasher movie on roids. The best thing Platinum Dunes has done. Well, I guess they did some of the Purge movies, the best remake that they've done. It's just a lot of fun. And because it was the 20th anniversary of Freddie versus Jason, I rewatched Freddie versus Jason, which is, it's exactly what it needs to be.
It's the best it could have possibly been, given everything. And I don't know, did you see it in theaters? Because I imagine we all probably have a seeing it in the theater experience. Am I wrong? Or
yeah. I think that's safe to say. I mean, well, first of all, I'm that nerd who read the original shooting script of Freddy versus Jason before it was hacked to pieces. Not to pieces, but it was hacked up by David S. Goyer, who's responsible for some of the worst lines in that movie. But the original script, I think it would have been like 2 hours long, but it's like Freddy versus Jason, but better. Is how I like to put it. But still, the movie we got is still better than many Friday the 13th. But it came out August 2003 during the Great Northeastern Blackout, when like the huge chunk of the Northeast of America was like blacked out. We just lost power, but it was still scheduled to come out that weekend. So when Friday rolled around, I mean, I've been waiting for this in second grade. I've been waiting for 10 years. I'm not going to miss it. So I'm waiting to hear reports that the stoplights in my town are working so that I can drive to the movie theater, and hopefully the movie theater has power, and then I'll see Freddy versus Jason. And the stoplights were working, the movie theater had power, and that's how I celebrated the end of the blackout. And it was so much fun. It's a very 2003 Canadian horror film. It's practically a Final Destination, but it's got Freddie and Jason and a fuck ton of blood. So I had fun with it.
Pretty sure it actually ends how most early 2000s horror movies do end, with some sort of metalcore Lincoln.
Oh, there's new metal all throughout that thing. It ends with this little Nino song, and the credits are to Spine-Shank. So if you don't know who either of those bands are, don't worry about it. But 20 years ago, you definitely saw them on an Ozfest flyer.
Yeah, definitely saw them on. Yeah, Spine-Shank's the one that it kind of snuck in there. The name's familiar, but only because how can you forget Spine-Shank? You know, it's two very, very solid words put together.
Sure. And sorry, are we still? What was your Freddie versus Jason experience,
John?
Freddie versus Jason experience just got started with junior year of high school.
Yeah, sounds
I
about
guess
right.
I'm probably the youngest one here. And basically at that point in time, like you said, other than your Final Destinations and other random teeny bopper filled renditions of whatever, it didn't really take a whole lot to get us excited to go see something like that in the theater. And at that point in time, I think that at that point they were actually in the process of building our new Cinemark. That was right around the time when they started to bring in the recliners and the assigned seats and everything. So this was still the old school fold down, chewing gum covered, casino carpet.
Ergonomic though.
Yeah.
Ergonomic chairs.
Like spring loaded stadium seats.
Bolted to the floor.
Yeah. And we had a handful of big fans that felt the need to get dressed up and stuff. So I guess this would have been a couple of years before any of the bad things started happening in movie theaters, and you were still allowed to do those kind of things. But it was a blast. A lot of laughing, a lot of screaming and yelling at the screen, like assholes.
Of course.
I mean, audience participation, right?
The what?
Audience participation in horror. It's either the best thing in the world or it's the worst thing in the world. It really depends the mood, the movie, the moment.
Though I will say, when I went to see Scream 2 opening night, someone came dressed in the Ghostface costume, but right after that first scene just came off, just like, oh, and I didn't know this was happening. Absolutely not. No, thank you.
Yeah, that's
maybe the correct cause of action. But speaking of bad things, I also watched Bad Things on Shudder. Have you seen it?
I just literally found out it exists by turning on Shudder today. So no, nothing.
Okay. It just came out. It's like a sort of a queer reimagining of The Shining, which is a great elevator pitch, but it is not. It didn't do it for me. It looks great, and I feel like everyone behind and in front of the camera knew what they were doing. They just weren't able to translate it to me. A lot of moments, and some stuff that doesn't quite make sense. And like what is supposed to be like an ambiguous plot point or Shining-esque horror trope, and what is just like low budget, we didn't have time on the day, this is screwed up, but don't look at it because look at this thing over here.
Just keep making the movie. Don't worry.
Yeah. And it's the kind of movie I'm watching and I'm like, man, The Shining is a really influential horror movie. Like it's really in like everyone's bones. Like you just, it's the cream of the crop. You just think about it when you're watching a lot of horror films, because a lot of horror films take from it. But by the end of the movie, I was like, oh, you're just ripping off The Shining. That's just that, like, I'm like, do you have to do this exact thing? But performances are committed. There's some good blood. The cinematography looks great. Like, I can't explain this. It looked, what?
Is it as long as The Shining?
No, it's like in not even an hour and a half, I don't think. So it's short and sweet. And it does make an empty but not quite run down hotel and sort of the middle of nowhere look creepy. So points for that, but it just didn't do much for me. I was kind of let down. But yeah. But yeah, that's and I rewatched Sleepaway Camp. It's fun. Oh,
You just like put that on when you're eating breakfast.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
That's just like that's good background noise.
yeah, yeah. Screw the news. I need Angela.
Oh, Angela. But yeah. Well, what about you guys? What have you been watching?
Well, I know we both went to see the last Voyage of Demeter. Was that last weekend? Yeah, and that was pretty good. I think Prose definitely made a chapter far more interesting. In about a 2-hour movie. Solid pacing, solid tension. Cons, you have really good vampire makeup, and you had to just CGI it all up. Like there's way too much of that in that movie to justify. It takes you out of it too much. But props for
some of it.
Yeah, props for filling out a movie that long and making it pretty entertaining, easy to pay attention to, pretty entertaining. Some of the shit is kind of like, yeah, probably could speed this up a little bit, but in the same time, like that's just me being a curmudgeon, like bringing back 90-minute movies. But aside from that, I haven't seen a whole fuck of a lot. I watched the Swamp Thing 4K that MVD just put out. I'm currently writing a review on, and you know what? Swamp Things never look better. I still the problem with this particular Swamp Thing, the Craven version, is that it just doesn't it does a lot right, but it also gets a lot wrong. Like there's a whole middle section that feels super saggy, and then it just goes complete fucking bonkers with like makeup effects at the end. And the Swamp Thing makeup, it's not there yet. Like it really becomes great, and I think like the '89 Return of Swamp Thing, like that's when you get what Swamp Thing really supposed to look like.
It's like, man, when Jim Wynorski is doing better in certain areas than Wes Craven, what a world. But I imagine in 4K you can see the scenes a little bit better, which is why I'm always kind of about looking at older movies in 4K, depending, because I don't want to see the scenes, and I feel like I will, but I don't know.
No, this is a pretty like solid transfer. Like because I used to have the Scream Factory version, and then I got rid of that in favor of the '88 Films version because that had the infamous uncut Adrian Barbeau version, which is so awkward. Like when you watch it, it's like this has no place like in this movie. But whatever, it's tits, I guess, So, but like neither transfer has been all that good. And so this is superior in the audio quality specifically across both versions. And then I have something on my watch list that I'm a little hesitant to watch, but I'm ready for the challenge. It's the August Underground Blu-ray from Unearthed Films. I'm thinking,
all you, buddy.
Yeah,
you let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna create a safe space for myself to retreat to after I watch it. I've never seen the August Underground films. This is the first time, but I feel like I can handle them at this point in my life. I feel like the world is such a piece of shit in so many ways that like this fake violence doesn't do nothing. It does nothing in comparison to like I don't know, the opioid crisis. That's pretty fucking scary. So anyway,
the crack epidemic and all of that. But I have no interest in those. So you have fun.
Oh no, I don't know if I use the word fun, but it's an experience. And then I read on your recommendation the Final Girl Support Group, the Grady Hendrix book.
Oh yeah, did you love it? I couldn't put it down.
Grady Hendrix is really good at writing books that you can't put down. Like he has very good pacing. I loved like the nods at first. I was kind of like, oh, this is doing a lot of winking at me, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm in. But
it's some great winking, and it's better winking than having characters named like Mr. Craven and Mrs. Carpenter, which that you could just fucking flush that down the toilet. But have a character named Julia who's supposed to be Sidney Prescott, but like Julia was Nev Campbell's character in Party of Five. Like that's enough distance where it's like, oh, okay, and he's still like like telling the story.
Yeah, but
But
instead of like winking at you, he's like silently farting and waiting for you to smell it. Like that's how hidden
I
that.
love the smell this time, though. I gotta
Oh yeah,
say,
it's good. It's
yeah.
good. And I just the one thing is like I have a and I think this is intentional. So it's not even a critique. It's more just a commentary. Is that I always hate his fucking main characters, and I think you're supposed to hate them. Even the redemption arcs. I'm like, you are not good people. Like you are. Oh, they're very narcissistic and self-centered folks, and eventually they come around to figuring out that their ways are wrong. But at the end of the day, like they're always kind of they always kind of get to me because I think they're people that like represent like they're people I don't want to rally for, but he's such a good writer that I want to see how this plays out.
I wouldn't go that far. I still like them. They're obviously flawed, and the flaws are foregrounded. But I'm not thinking like, God, I want these people to die like I am in like Succession or a Rob Zombie movie. You know what I mean?
that's a wide range in between Rob Zombie and
Yeah.
Succession, but they're almost the same people, just different levels of income. So,
wow. I feel like if Macabre Monthly ever makes T-shirts, we have phrases picked out for them already. Number one is tits, I guess, which I almost wrote that down because that's great. But also, yeah, just the different levels of income between Rob Zombie's characters and Successions or something like that. I don't know. And it's together.
They operate on the same like level of like we are literally here for ourselves and to fuck everything else up. Without any regard for the consequence or the collateral damage. And that's why they're both
Hendrix's characters. You got to give them a little more credit.
I'm being maybe intentionally harsh because it's not so much that like they're so awful that I want them to die. It's more like some of the dialogue he writes for them is like, ugh, of course, like, oh, I can't believe I was betrayed this time. It's like, of course you're fucking betrayed. Like you literally talked about this happening. Like, did you ever heard of like say it and then manifestation shit, like whatever. I don't have an axe to grind against them. He's just a really good writer because if I'm that worked up about a character, clearly I felt something in this cold Mexican Jewish heart of mine. So that's all I've been up to. What about you, John?
I've been kind of grimy lately. Some video nasties. I'm on a video nasty kick. So the night before last, Toolbox Murders.
The original?
The original.
Nice.
Actually got my hands on a second draft script for the Toolbox Murders here a couple weeks back too. Little acquaintance I made when I was doing work in Maryland. He's got an antique bookstore.
Oh, cool.
And he gets just like, I don't know if he has like one individual that does this or if it's multiple people. They just bring in boxes of old movie scripts. And that just happened to be one of them. And like immediately text message to John, like, hey, guess what I got? Hills Have Eyes earlier in the week, original. Next night, Hills Have Eyes remake. With my probably my first crush. Is in the remake of Hills Have Eyes.
Play the sister?
Yeah, what is her name?
The older sister or the younger sister? Lost or Hocus Pocus?
Hocus Pocus.
Vanessa Shaw.
Vanessa Shaw.
Yeah.
She's in the remake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Allison.
Yeah, I met her.
That was one. Yeah, she was in Horror Hound.
Yeah, she was also in Eyes Wide. She was also in Eyes Wide Shut. She told me a really interesting story about Stanley Kubrick. She said he was a very nice guy. I'm like, wow, I was not expecting you to say that. But
you're the only person that's ever said that in the history of time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything else that's ever come out about him is that he was horrendous
in
every way, shape, and form.
Yeah.
And then there was probably like a week or so ago. I was talking with a client at work about Jaws, and it really got me in the mood to watch Piranha. So I watched Piranha. Anything that has to do with Rob Bottin and his practical effects, I'm on board with anytime.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, some good ones lately.
Yeah.
Those are the ones. That's the kind that I have to watch after the wife goes to bed. She's a little pickier than I am.
Yeah. Oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I almost forgot since it's the 50th anniversary of the incident listed in the film. Just broke out my 4K. It's glorious.
The second sight one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Dark Sky, which I think is the same transfer, but I opted for that one because I got it sooner. I don't need the extra Blu-ray, and I told myself I didn't need the book of essays because there's already so much scholarship on it. But I'm like, I do kind of wish I got that one sometimes. But I am getting the second site, It Follows, which has the big ass book of essays and audio commentary. And I mean, It Follows in 4K. You don't say no to that. You just don't.
Yeah, you've got a friend in John on that one, but I'll leave that. That's one second site I won't be taking a look at. Heyo, yeah.
Speaking of It Follows, when I was, kind of like racking my brain about what one sheets to pick, I kept like telling myself that I needed to have something modern because like everything was, 80s and back. And that was one of the ones on my short list. If I was going to put them,
that is a good one sheet. I think it is really appropriate to put. We forgot to say the topic that we're doing. We're doing the best one sheets, but yeah, great. Now you all know what we're fucking talking about. I think it's totally appropriate to put movies that you don't really, in my case, don't enjoy. But I love that one sheet. It's a great fucking one sheet. It's a great poster. So yeah. But I will not yuck anyone's yum on It Follows. And
you tried.
I tried.
You tried.
I don't have a disinformation campaign going out there or anything. I'm more just like I've given it enough tries where I feel like I don't have to try with it anymore, and that's okay. That's not everything for me.
Let it go. Fly free.
It's gone.
That score is one of my favorite cinema experiences.
Mm-hmm.
People walked out of the Regal Theater because of how loud and just like obnoxious and ear-piercing that score is. It's
same with Dunkirk. People walked out of Dunkirk.
It's so appropriate, like for the chase scenes and stuff. It's ridiculous.
And man, walking out of a movie theater showing It Follows is just a weird experience because you're not watching it in isolation. You've seen it with the public. So it's like just walking down the street afterwards. I'm like, and listening to the soundtrack because I didn't listen to it before the movie, but I had it ready to go. It was like, holy shit, this movie cast a spell.
Yeah.
So fuck you, Matt. I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's okay. I have spookies, I guess. I don't know. I'll claim something else.
Like Jenkins, at least I got chicken.
Well, I've got Jason Goes to Hell. That's the hill that I die on.
I rewatched that too. I totally forgot. I should write this stuff down, but yeah.
If only there was. I don't use it anymore. It's too much of a hassle for me now to write shit in Letterboxd. But
I don't really review on it. I just, since Netflix is no longer doing DVDs, that's kind of how I kept track of movies I wanted to watch. Now I just use the watch list feature on Letterboxd. That and year-end lists. That's what I use it for, which is fine.
Yeah,
works for me.
That's the utility. It's the utility.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, as we do in these situations, we've got some news. Let me make sure I pull up the right screen. Don't want.
Oh, and I cannot believe I forgot to talk about Megalomaniac, which I reviewed for the site.
Oh yeah, you did.
Did you see it yet?
No. I did not find your email.
Oh, well, I'll send it again, but we'll wait until you see it. But sorry about that. I will.
But we will talk about it. I love me some extreme horror. And on the topic of extreme horror, we happen to write for a site called Macabre Daily, which is the inspiration for the name of this monthly show. So if you figured that out already, congratulations. But this website has a bunch of news, so we want to just cover what's happening in the world of horror. George Romero's planned zombie flick Twilight of the Dead coming to life. I know, John, you're a big fan of Day of the Dead. I'm
a big fan of
all
the
of
original
really,
trilogy.
What do you know about
that's
this?
I feel like that's like a Midwest kid thing.
Yeah.
Like I grew up, an hour and 45 minutes away from Pittsburgh. Night of the Living Dead is probably the first horror movie that I ever saw.
Okay.
Probably like a
First thing you remember seeing?
probably like a late 70s, early 80s VHS release of some kind, some like garbage $4.99 Walmart transfer
Yeah.
or something, you know, that my brother had on his shelf. Dawn of the Dead, by far my favorite zombie flick, not even close. Day of the Dead, one of the most underappreciated horror films of all time.
Yeah.
Period. Probably actually, our other friend Mark was asking about the saddest horror. That might be up there.
The Day of
Day of the
Dead?
Dead is pretty sad.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's not what I picked in that particular instance, but that could be up there.
No, I mean, well,
Yeah,
all those movies,
too.
they all end on a dour note, right? They're all just kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
well, people suck, don't they? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
So obviously he ended up doing Land of the Dead and Diary of the Dead, Survival of the Dead. I mean, they're passable.
yeah.
Have they announced who's making this or who's
No,
distributing it or any of
we've
that?
got some producers lined up.
Like, obviously Susan's number one on the list.
Yeah. And it's said to delve into the dark nature of humanity from the perspective of the last humans on Earth who are caught between factions of the undead. You know, I am a Land of the Dead apologist. I saw it in the theaters.
To apologize for it is fun.
I know it
Yeah,
is. It's great. It's great. So anyway, I feel like I have to say that because it's not as good as the three before it, but
No, but it's fine.
It's better than it deserves to be. But the thing is, like, I never watched any after that because I kind of heard that they're not that good, and I don't want to sour my I want to sour this franchise for me because the last one's kind of like Hellraiser. I'll never watch anything past Hellraiser 4 ever again. Ever. No need.
Well, if they do anything with the remake after that, I'll watch it. But
oh yeah, that remake. Sorry, that counts.
Yeah, but there's no real connective tissue with the Romero zombie movies, and he is working with lower budgets. Like he shows he's still got it all throughout, but yeah, Land of the Dead is kind of like the last best one.
Yeah, it's the last hurrah, which is fine, but that's okay. I mean, listen, I will probably see this because it'll probably end up on Shudder, and that'll be great because we can watch it on Shudder.
Yeah.
But
the closer it gets, the more shit we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then I'll be over here on a Tuesday night watching it.
Yeah. No, that's the name of the game. Like, it's like Terrifier. It's like, I'll talk. I mean, I don't like it, but you know what? I'll fucking see the next one. God damn it! Like,
even if it's 3.5 hours.
If it's 3.5 hours long, I'll just do what I did before. And I'll get the fucking screener and I'll fucking just review it myself. Like, it'll be fine. But anyway, 5 horror stories from 5 Latino filmmakers equals 1 vicious trailer for Satanic Hispanics. So Lowell, I think you got a little something on this regard, don't you?
Yeah, I just got a screener for it. I haven't seen it yet. I should get to it later tonight. And I believe they're going to try to fit me in for a brief interview with Eduardo Sanchez next week, which would be friggin' sick. Who, by the way, I know everyone talks about Blair Witch Project, as they should, but also he has one of the best VHS segments yet. Like the zombie one with the GoPro, like just yeah. So I'd like to ask him about that too. But I'm excited to see what this brings. I still can't believe we're getting a VHS movie now once a year, which I am totally fine with. But yeah, anthology horror is very much alive, and I'm here for it.
Yes, and you know what? I will absolutely stand this Latin representation anthology. I don't know. I'm excited for this. I hope it's good. I'm sure it will be good. Because the thing about anthologies that's great is all you need is 1 to 2 great stories to validate the entire existence of the movie. The rest can be middling, as long as they're most, even if one's absolutely dog shit, like, it doesn't matter because like the rest will like pick up the slack. What are your thoughts on anthologies? Fan, not fan?
I would lean towards being a fan of them. 65-35. That's actually a pretty solid poster. Was that Our Lady of Guadalupe?
Version of it. We'll see.
It's Our Lady
mixed with Deadeye Dash.
Yeah, Our Lady of Satan, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, this.
Find out.
Yeah, we're gonna find. Yeah, Lowell's gonna find out and he's gonna tell us. But I'm excited for you to see this, and I hope you snag that interview because that would be amazing. That would be a great conversation. So it's that time of the year again where we talk about fucking Scream again, because there's fucking rumors again, and it's Chris. You know what?
No, this isn't a rumor. This is happening. He confirmed it. As soon as the strikes are over, it's a GoPro, baby. Go project.
I mean, I have nothing against Chris Landon whatsoever. So I wish him all the best luck. I'm glad that the Radio Silence folks are not directing. I think that that's a smart move to pull back and just, EP this shit. But I
think they're still gonna write it.
Yeah, they still got their fingers in it. Well, it's all right. They're good writers. They're just like, I think my problem is that I just don't like Scream that much anymore. Like the more I see of it, the less I'm like, it's kind of like Friday the 13th when you watch them too much. Like that's why they had to stop releasing slasher sequels every fucking year, is because like you start watching them too much. It's like Marvel movies, the same shit. You can't overwhelm the market with one kind of product because it then loses all of its luster. But
all right, Graham. We've just had 2 Scream movies in the past 2 years, and they were better than the previous 2 Scream movies. Don't come at me with your Scream 3 revisionism just because we found out Harvey Weinstein was like one of the worst people in Hollywood that we know about does not make Scream 3 a better movie. It just doesn't. Anyway, I just interrupted you with my spiel.
It's okay. I don't hate Scream. I just don't want more of it. I want it to stop. But it will continue because it makes a lot of money. And you know what? It will take my money. I will go see it on fucking opening night like every other fucking chud. So
we'll be there.
But
I'll be there.
You know what? I like the Happy Death Day movies. I like Freaky. I like Chris Landon. I think he's very well suited for it. But yeah, like if this is like the 3rd in the trilogy, make it a real trilogy ender. I always said this should tackle final chapters because, it's sort of like one of the last slasher routes they haven't really touched. Whether or not it's the final chapter for the characters or not, just make it seem like the final chapter. Because I don't
space. Just saying.
No,
space. No, that's like 10 or 11.
You know what?
We a little
well, maybe 9 at this rate, but you know what? If the new hotness is bringing back properties and making new trilogies of them, then I'd like to see this end with a bang and a higher body count than the previous one. The less deaths of red shirts and more like I like Scream 6, but man, like don't fucking tell me some of those people survived. Don't do it. Don't do it. Kill me some regulars.
Everybody dies. If this is the only way to end Scream 7, everybody dies. Every single person dies.
You have a hard heart, Matt.
Well, it's not. It's not. No, it's not going to happen.
No, but I mean, like every single person, like not like Sidney Prescott, because she doesn't have to be involved, but just everyone else, like all the new cast. Like, if you really want to end the franchise, fucking end it by killing every single person.
I'd love it to end with Sidney Prescott watching the events on the news, finding out everyone died, and went, all right, what's for dinner?
Interesting. Changes channel, puts on like Family Feud, like something asinine. Anyway, I do agree. Chris Landon is right for this. He's got his voice is going to suit the material well. But hopefully it comes through the script from Radio Silence. So anyway.
Also, I can't believe I just went that hard to the mat for the Scream franchise when I don't even all the entries. But there's still some left in the tank. I'm just saying.
It'll be out there forever.
Yeah,
it's gonna be looking like an asshole for years to come.
There's still Cold Stunner. You stole Cold Stunner, the Scream franchise, which is amazing. Or no, wait, the Scream franchise stole Cold Stunner. I'm not gonna land this one. Let's just abandon it.
I did a sharpshooter on the.
There you go.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Razor Ramon. Anyway.
So Bride of Frankenstein is getting remade by Maggie Gyllenhaal for Netflix. Cool, I guess.
Okay, I'll watch it.
That's
It's
not
on Netflix. I'll see it.
I don't know. It's when you tackle classic monsters, like it's kind of a fool's errand. Like the only classic monster movie that I will say is worth its weight is Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula. All the other remake and okay, Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein is pretty good, but
It's worth a watch.
it's like Wolfman, like it suffers under the weight of like really bad visual design choices, like using that much CGI when you have fucking Rick Baker. Like, come on. Anyway,
That's been the last 30 years of his life, is them over layering all of his work. And like, isn't Guillermo del Toro supposed to be doing a lot of the old Universal stuff?
I'm not excited.
I was gonna say, like, I talk about this with my wife all the time. Like, he just needs to make Frankenstein.
Yes.
Like, that's clearly the movie he wants to make. There's pieces of it in like all of his work now. Just give us Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, and no one needs to make another Frankenstein movie for like at least 50 years.
Yeah.
Like, his is going to be like the ultimate. I mean, he practically gave us a Creature from the Black Lagoon movie,
Like,
yeah.
several of them.
Yeah, including Best Picture. Like, I don't know. I never really thought one way or the other about the Universal monsters. I know they're classic, but like, I'm not gonna get mad if someone, does stuff with them. And I think Last Voyage of the Demeter is kind of cool. It's like, oh, Dracula is alien on a ship. But I'm a Monster Squad guy, and I hear that the 4K is coming out from Kino finally. Please God. I don't know what's going to come first, that or the Fright Night 2 4K, whatever.
They're both confirmed.
So they've been announced, but like I'm crossing my fingers for dear life.
We still haven't gotten, Lowell.
What?
It's a Nightmare on Elm Street box set, and
yeah, I was going to mention that because I feel like I mentioned that every single episode because I'm just screaming to the heavens. And Lord.
And I think when we did our like what movies we want on 4K, like I said Hellraiser, and guess what happened? Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Next year's 2024, and the original came out in '84. So.
Yeah, 40 years.
There you go.
And didn't they release the original DVD set that had like the Freddie arms on each disc? Wasn't that during like a special?
That's above you. That's on my top shelf. I just got it. I take those to cons to get them autographed by the cast.
Wasn't that like the 20? Like, was that the 20-year or 30-year anniversary? Like, what was the anniversary of that one?
Yeah, no, that wasn't even 20. That came out when I was in high school.
Yeah,
that was like not even 10 years. I don't even think. Oh, there was a 2-disc DVD that was the 20-year anniversary, and here's what I'm afraid of. They're going to do a 4K just for the original and nothing with sequels, which I'm dreading because there's so much stuff out there about the original, which is great, but there's no love for the sequels whatsoever, besides like the fan-made documentaries that are out there. So I'm hoping that the anniversary of the original, the rising tide lifts all ships. I hope we see those other special features and 4K transfers on those ships, man, because I need a fucking Rennie Harlan commentary. I gotta right into my veins, man.
They could make it look like the old VHS collection.
That would be dope.
The slipcase.
That would be dope.
But like you said, it'll probably end up just being the original. It'll be like a $45 slipcase steelbook, only available at Best Buy. Bullshit.
Yeah.
I hope.
All right. Well, good luck, Maggie Gyllenhaal. I think.
Add a little bit, but hey, Christian Bale, Penelope Cruz, Peter Sarsgaard.
The thing is, though, like the original Bride of Frankenstein is so fucking weird that, like, unless they're gonna try and replicate some of how weird it is, then what's the point? And if this goes the dramatic route, like, it's just gonna be really boring. Like, anyway,
you get back to like those '30s Universal films, or just '30s horror films in general, and like, my wife has probably seen maybe 2 or 3 of those films because of me.
Yeah.
But you could show her imagery from any of them, and she knows what it is. I could show her an image of Lon Chaney Jr. I could show her an image of, Lon Chaney Sr. in a movie that burnt up in a fire decades ago and is presumed lost, and she knows what it is because it's just that image. So like Bride of Frankenstein, how more does it get more iconic as far as the imagery goes than the lightning bolt, Simpson hair.
Yeah, it's just it's such a tall order to do, and like I don't want to get my hopes up about Guillermo del Toro's Universal Monsters because they've been talking about that shit for forever. Saying like
Dark Universe, baby.
I know they've been talking about that. And then there was, how long was he talking about doing his own like H.P. Lovecraft adaptation of the Mountains of Madness? And like that didn't happen. So it's like,
that's his brass ring. I mean, he spent so many years trying to do that. That's why he finally just threw up his hands and said, "Fuck it!" Like giant robots versus monsters. That's how we got Pacific Rim.
Yeah, but Pacific Rim is an amazing film.
Yeah, Pacific Rim's fucking
awesome. It makes me cry every fucking time at the end. And it's got more heart than a monster robot movie should ever fucking have. But still, I think the man loves movies so much that he's so committed to projects, but he can't possibly do them all. So I don't know. I hope he gets pulled into doing some shit. I would love to see like his Frankenstein. I mean, Frankenstein would be the grail. But you know what? If he wants to give me like a really fucking solid do the Mummy again, or give me his Dracula, I'll fucking take his Dracula. Anyway, R.L. Stine's got a new movie coming out with Zombie Town with Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase, who are literal living zombies at this point.
I watched the trailer for this yesterday. I had not heard of it until it popped up on Instagram, on the search page.
Yeah, me neither.
What even is this? It comes out in theaters only, a week and a half from now, and they have not advertised it at all.
Someone's trying to tax write this one off.
It's got Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase in it, and it's like, what? Why does this exist? Why is this happening? How did they convince these two men to do this movie?
Sounds like a Disney Channel movie. I mean, I hadn't heard of it either until recently.
The worst fucking poster I've ever seen. Like, I know it's supposed to give off like R.L. Stine vibes, but like this looks like CGI or AI fucking R.L. Stine. Like, did someone put this into fucking Mid-Journey?
They did probably.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if I'll see this, to be honest. I don't know if this needs to be seen by me. If someone tells me it's good, if someone else takes the plunge on this, it's like I'll watch the Munsters for somebody else, so somebody else can watch this for me, and then tell me if I have to watch that. So
that's the trade, the Munster.
Yeah, that's fair.
I like the Munsters. I wouldn't watch it again unless I was again making some sort of deal where someone's gonna watch Zombie Town for me. So last but not least, there's a new Aussie exploitation movie coming to town, Beaten to Death. Love that tagline.
And the title. I love so much about the poster. I kind of wish I didn't see the trailer. Not that it's necessarily a bad trailer, but like I kind of don't know what it's about from watching it. I just know it's going to be bloody as shit, which I easily just could have gone in with. I'm still going to watch it because it's called Beaten to Death, and the Australians are freaking crazy. So, but yeah, let me know what you think.
Yeah, I'm all in on this one. Keen to see what it's all about. Those Aussies do make good horror movies, so yeah. I did not, to be honest, I actually didn't watch the trailer. I know I wrote this article, but I didn't say anything about the trailer, so I'm not being disingenuous. I don't like to watch the trailer because I want to be surprised. So
totally fair.
Yeah, but I do love this poster. It's Cold Duck Designs, I think is his name on Instagram.
Oh, Creepy Duck Designs.
Creepy Duck Designs. There we go. Creepy Duck Designs. Yeah. He did this poster.
It is pretty solid, especially by today's standards.
Yeah,
where it's not just some cut and paste image of the main character or whatever with a dark background.
Yeah, floating head and faded into Photoshop. I mean, this is this is similar to some of the one sheets that I think the reason why, as we're kind of transitioning into this one sheet conversation, what a segue, is this gives off that kind of hand painted vibe, even though I'm pretty sure it's probably digitally created. But I think that's what draw like a lot of the reason why a lot of the one sheets we all selected actually are from actual paintings and not, digitally created, because it's just there's something alluring about the creation of that art. So anyway, I'm rambling. So our topic is top 5 one sheets, horror one sheets. So just to define this real quick for you nerds that don't know what a one sheet is, it's just a one sheet of paper that has like the typical like marketing material for the movie. In this case, all of us picked
that thing poster behind you. That's a one sheet.
That's a one sheet. It's just an advertisement for the movie. They typically are about, what is it, 27 by 40 is the average?
Now, 27 by 40 modern, 27 by 41 back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And then you, like I said earlier, you get back into like the 40s, 30s, and then there are all kinds of wacky.
Yeah, and the UK has like the quads, which are like 40 by 40. So
but we've always done the one sheet in the United States for the most part.
Yeah, and so we figured, our love of horror and a love of art can culminate into a great topic around top one sheet. So these are all, the marketing material used for these films. I think we all stayed away from what I will call like alternative posters. We also don't have a lot of like international ones on here, so these should be all North American. But I'm going to kick this off. John, since you're our guest, I'm going to have you start. So which one would you like to start with out of your list?
So I'll do Night of the Living Dead because that's my number 5.
All right, just get this ready while you're talking.
Night of, I was kind of talking about cut and paste earlier, and that's actually kind of what I love about this poster, is it literally is like take out your scissors and snip up some still images, paste them together in a really cool way. Kind of a long tagline, but it's an iconic movie, and I just think the imagery is iconic. Could not tell you who is responsible for this at all. I assume some just random suburban Pittsburgh fellow or lady, probably somebody that worked on set or something. But it's
Mr. Rogers had a break from shooting one day.
I mean, he had some artistic ability, so it's very possible. He
it's a beautiful day in this undead neighborhood.
I mean, they probably knocked on his door at some point asking him to be an extra.
Yeah.
That's basically what they were doing back then. It's just kind of like, the grassroots feel of the film itself is just perfectly portrayed on that poster.
Yeah.
And it just, like I say, I talk about it being cut and paste, but I couldn't cut stuff up and make it look that good.
Yeah.
And then the bright green title, it's just classic. Probably one of my favorite posters that I own.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of this one. Graham Humphreys did a interpretation of this that's somewhat, you can see where he kind of lifted his inspiration from some of this original one sheet, but very solid.
He did the UK quad.
He did it 20. Well, yes, he did that one, but there's also a 20,
like the headstone.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool poster too.
Yeah, he's the only one still doing it that way these days for the most part. That's not true. There's a lot of
book coming, dude. Like a new, I don't know if it's new or if it's a reissue, but a Graham Humphreys book I think comes out in like November. I'm excited for it. It's
all his horror posters, I think, is what it's going to have in it, which are voluminous. I mean, if you own 10 Arrow movies, you probably own a movie that has Graham Humphreys art on it. So all right, Lowell, which one of yours would you like to start with?
Let's go with Poltergeist.
Oh, good one. All right. I'm sharing it right now.
So I dig minimalism, and this one is pretty minimal and spooky. I almost put the teaser poster for the Candyman remake, the first poster that we saw, because it's just perfect. And it had stuff on the bottom, but I don't think it was an official one sheet. I think it was just more like a promo image, but it sort of harkens to what you're showing here. And just like the negative space, I mean, this poster did what Skinamarink like wished it could do. As a it's like the they're here, and it's like, who the hell's they? And you got the little girl like talking to a TV. Like, is the little girl gonna turn around and kill me? Is she crazy? or who's they, what the hell. And it's just like a classic horror image, very evocative, just great stuff.
Yeah, this one, I'm actually, when I saw this, I was like, damn, that's a fucking good pick. Because it's just, it's so like, it's so representative of the movie, but it tells you fuck all about what you're going to see in it. Like it's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What is the one I want to start with? So I'm going to start with Paganini Horror. So this is an example of a movie that I don't really love. This movie. I
don't love some. Well, yeah. I wasn't told I needed to love these movies, but I do love most of them. But anyway, go on.
I do have a fondness for this movie, but it's an example of a movie whose poster is significantly better than the actual film within.
I know that just by looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, this is Enzo Ciardi. I'm fucking butchering his name. So
I think it's Ciardi.
Ciardi, who recently passed a couple years ago. So rest in peace, Maestro. But yeah, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite Enzo print because he's done a lot of the best ones. But this one, I don't know. It's everything that I love about his style, which it has this almost EC comics with an extra layer of realism with the skeleton, and then you have this bloody violin bow, which is just like none of this stuff is really in the movie in this way. So it's like
European artists do not give a fuck what is in the movie.
The liberties taken are like pretty
and I too, brilliant as they are.
Posters are so good.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. It's the kind of thing that draws you in, and I think that's when I think about good one sheets for me. They have a gravitational pull to them, and that they almost beg you to watch them. And it kind of brings us back to the video store days of like that's how you would judge the worth of a potential rental is like, does this look fucking cool or not? And unfortunately I never saw Paganini Horror in any video stores that I was privy to. This is somewhat of a deep cut, I guess, but now Severin I think has it on a Blu-ray, so thank goodness for the fine folk at trashy boutique labels. So yeah, that's my first pick.
Good stuff.
All right, John, what's your next one?
Let's do Fright Night.
Nice.
So I kind of went with that one because I put that as number 4 on my list. This is probably one of my favorite movies as a child. And the reason I love this one sheet so much is I don't know that I've ever seen a horror movie that has continued to use the same image for literally every piece of physical media that's ever been released for it.
Yeah.
But that's how I learned about this. This was like by far my favorite VHS slipcase on the mom and pop rental store when I was a kid. Like this is like just a beautiful painting.
Yeah.
In general. Like if it didn't say Fright Night,
just the painting too.
Yeah, the steelbook has it, right?
Yeah, the steelbook is just like no titles or anything. But you totally have this up on your wall. It's great.
Yeah, spectacular. It's a spectacular movie.
Yeah, it really is. Top tier vampire film. And yeah, this is the kind of thing, like again, the style of this kind of artwork to me at least, like the effort that goes into this. Even if the movie sucks, you still like that poster kicks ass. In the case, this movie doesn't suck, so it's like it's cherries on your Sunday instead of rain on your wedding day kind of shit,
Yeah.
And I will say, for years, I didn't know that was the Amanda Burse.
Yeah.
I just like it, or that was even from the movie. I just thought, oh, like a vampire, in the clouds. But then it was like, oh God, of course. But yeah.
This is top tier classic stuff. Well, Lowell, what's the next one you want me to gravitate towards?
It's really the only one that I'm not particularly a fan of, at least compared to the other entries. But I mean, the film itself, the poster is awesome. Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th. It's just iconic. It's like it draws you in because you think you're looking at like a landscape at first, but I feel like you don't necessarily see the outline of the body until like, maybe a second or two when you zone out. But it just perfectly encapsulates like there are these kids in the woods, someone's coming for them, and yeah, they're doomed. Like it says, nothing will save them. Like that's it, like right there. I don't know who did the poster. It's incredible. I know they went back and did versions of this for at least the next few movies. But yeah, like I think I saw like a 3D version of this, like a diorama being sold, and like I almost got it, but like I don't like the movie itself that much. I much prefer the scene. But yeah, like
Angelicus. The artist's name is Spiros Angelicus.
Spiros Angelicus. Thank you, Spiros.
The details, nuts. Like and within the outline of the body, the details crazy.
Yeah, it's almost like this guy could paint miniatures, like for D&D. And it doesn't need to be that detailed. Like it could even just be like, I don't know, kids standing around a campfire. But like the fact that you have the cabin and like the kids look different, even if they don't necessarily, I guess they do kind of look a little bit like the kids in the movie. But like, yeah, like, you don't need a moon that evocative, but it just looks fantastic.
What would be perfect in this one sheet is just like a howling wolf. Like this gives out like those shirts you see in like, southern Arizona airports.
Oh, yeah. Buy it like carnivals now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They got like a howling wolf on like one corner, and then like a landscape, and then like on the back just a big wolf face. It just says like my
background. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I agree. I actually have a screen printed version of this that doesn't have the credit block at the bottom, just the top part in black, which it's a beautiful the Bottleneck Gallery did a screen print from Spiros's original painting a couple years ago. So yeah, that's this is a classic one.
Now I feel bad. The Fright Night painting was done by Peter Mueller.
Okay, Peter Mueller.
Sorry that I didn't shout yet.
We got you.
I'm sure he'll be watching as soon as we upload.
All right. So my next one is a movie that I always talk about, and part of the reason is because of this fucking one sheet.
I could have called this.
Yeah, Waxwork. Like this is, for my money, I love this one sheet. It has nothing to do with the fucking movie at all. Like none of these characters are in that movie except for the little person here in the front. But like everybody else does not appear in here whatsoever. So but it still is really, really evocative of the vibe of the movie, which it's just kind of playful, it's fun. And I love the tagline, more fun than a barrel of mummies, because it sounds like someone fucking literally made that up. Like when they had to print the one sheet, they're like, fuck, it doesn't have a tagline. Like, oh, what should we say? I don't know, more fun than a barrel of monkeys. Fuck, I know. And then they just put it on there. Mummies. But yeah, I don't know who does the art in this. In fact, sidebar, I had asked both of these gentlemen in part of the preparation, which is just a text message that I hastily send last minute, to try and find the name of the artists. And at first I thought, oh, that can't be that difficult. We have the internet. I was very wrong. I apologize. I do not know. I think on my list, the only ones I know are two, and that's because I knew those artists from the jump. Like I didn't. So I apologize for.
You bring shame upon Macabre Daily.
I know. I'm gonna bring out the fucking bell, and I'll walk naked through the streets of Cleveland, Ohio, while they throw I don't know pierogies at me or some shit. But yeah, that's my pick. All right, John, back to you. What's next up?
So number 3 is A Nightmare on Elm Street.
So this is the one I tied with you, actually. This is the
original, 1984. Just, I mean, it's perfect. Matthew Peak is
Peak represent
is a ridiculously talented artist. He's in recent years become one of my favorite AP artists.
Yeah.
He started to tackle some of the movies that he didn't have anything to do with back in the day. There was
what do you mean an AP artist? Is that alternate poster?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He did a really cool The Thing AP that I have. He actually recently did a couple of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, I believe, that he didn't originally have.
He did all of them except
yeah,
for
he did the original 6, but
except for 2.
No, he did 2. See, I didn't know this growing up because you see what's at the video store, but the covers on the videos for 2 and 5 aren't him. They're just like photos of Robert Englund. But like when you get the box set with the DVDs, it has the original posters on them, which are also by Matthew Joseph Peak, but I never saw those growing up. He also did one for Freddie's Dead, which just wasn't used. I think they used it for the soundtrack, but yeah, he did like the whole original run, just not New Nightmare.
1, 2, 5. But like it's an interesting story too. Is another reason I like it. So his dad, Bob Peak, is probably considered one of the most legendary one-sheet artists of all time.
Yep.
Apocalypse Now, The Spy Who Loved Me, I believe he did one or two of the James Bond films. It's actually kind of funny because obviously there was probably a little bit of nepotism involved in a young Matthew Peak, 25, 26 years old, fresh out of art school, getting to do the one sheet for Wes Craven's newest film. But I appreciate the fact that he knocked it out of the park enough that they were like, hey, we're going to make 3 or 4 more of these. You want to do those too? And he did obviously separate himself as far as his art style and stuff from his dad. And that's one of the reasons that he just signs his name Matthew on his art as well. He does not put his last name on anything. So yeah, very, very solid poster for a movie that at the time, from what I've read, he wasn't really given a whole lot of time to do this because he was contacted in 1984, which was the year of the release of this film, to create this. And probably got like a generalized summary of what the movie was, which is why there's obviously some not screen accurate objects, but it's still just a killer poster, killer tagline. A Nightmare on Elm Street's font is iconic at this point. Everything's just great.
I mean, it's interesting. I never really kind of put this together until just now, but this is the design for New Nightmares.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't look at this one sheet that often. But I do have this. I have 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in screen print form without the titles and all, just the art print versions. And the first one's signed by Heather Langenkamp and Matthew Peak. They look great in black lights too, just if you're wondering. His particular art style is very good for them. But yeah, this is iconic shit, man. Like I think this is some of the best poster art out there, bar none. And Bob Peak being, of course, a legend he is, up there with like, what's his name, John Clayton, I think, did like E.T. and stuff, Drew Struzan. So
yeah, he was apparently Matt Peak's a big Drew Struzan fan.
Yeah, I mean, who isn't really?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on.
I actually don't have any Drew Struzan on here, which I was kind of surprised at. But yeah, I mean, if we're not just talking about horror and like movie posters in general, he's got a big chunk of the top 10.
Yeah, but he hasn't done a ton of like horror movie posters. I think is why he's not on this list. Like he's mostly done like mainstream films. So, yeah,
for sure.
All right, well, Lowell, what's your next pick?
Let's keep the Elm Street train rolling. I put Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Another solid entry. Like I said in the beginning, none of these are bad. Like they're all good. They're all great.
And you're right. Like that did become the font of the Nightmare title because it wasn't. They didn't use that for the first 2 movies, but they started like using the poster font from like in 3 and 4, like which are the most popular movies, arguably in the series. And I love the part 1 poster, but the kid brain in me just couldn't get over the fact that didn't quite look like Freddie. But I mean, if you're not given a lot of time and no one knows what Nightmare on Elm Street is at that point, like you're totally excused. I just prefer this because it's got a lot of iconography, even if it's false. Like the blades don't quite look like that. Like the Dream Warriors don't even look like that. I mean, the girl in the middle is like a mix of Nancy and Kristen. There's no guy with a mace. but it shows like what the movie is. You know, like these kids putting themselves in danger to stand up to Freddy. I love the glove being splayed out. And I love that this poster was like, you know, redone for the New Mutants movie and for season 4 of Stranger Things. Like they clearly knew what they were doing. And yeah, it's just like a better like Freddy design. You know, they're selling him a little more, but he's not quite front and center. Which I love that Matthew Joseph Peak never did. Like when it's like, you know, a poster that's photoshopped, you got Robert Englund like hucking and jiving up in there, but like he always sort of kept Freddy kind of obscured. And I love that he kept doing that. I love the little house at the bottom too, because it's the first time the dream version of the Elm Street house really comes in. But he kept the continuity of the claw, and I like the curved blades. They're not in the movie, but they're great visually for those posters. So yeah, and Matt, of course, got me the foreign language version of one of those that he found at the con. Good call, and thank you.
I mean, I think if I had like, even though I chose Nightmare on Elm Street, the original one is like one of my picks. Like I actually look the art on the 5th one is unfucking real. Like the screen print version that I have, that like it's so the way the colors work through the cars coming out, and like kind of like a rainbow effect.
Oh, that's 4, and he does, and it's like the rainbow coming out.
Oh yeah, 5's the baby carriage. Never mind. 4 is the one that.
Oh, I got to put my nerd hat on for a second. 5 is the baby carriage because the original poster was banned. Because the original poster of 5 was initially the same, except instead of the nightmare carriage, it's a fetus. Like it's like a baby in a womb, but they said that was too extreme, so they made it the carriage. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, like the Dream Master poster with like the rainbow with Alice's eyes coming up, even though that has nothing to do with the movie itself, it's still beautiful.
I think it just Peak's ability to like really like he's capturing the movie without telling you anything that what the fuck you're gonna see in it. Like you'll like there's it's almost like it's like the LaCroix to like a soda. It's like this tastes like fruit, but it's like someone farted a fruit in your mouth and like, you know, then put some tonic with some soda water in there. It's like,
what was I don't remember the comedian, but he was like the flavors are like a soda water with one red Skittle.
Yeah, pretty much. But he just enough to entice you. I mean the arts, and also I love the big eye. Like I like how he has this one kind of protruding big eye,
bulging eye.
Yeah, this is again, all of these are fucking great picks. So I'm gonna pick one that again, the last one that doesn't overlap with anybody else's, which is The Burning. I love this particular one sheet so much. It's classy, but it's also fucking terrifying. It captures the movie pretty well, even though it is like romance novelty. There is a lot of like counts are fucking, so like I guess that's apropos and appropriate here. But you have the cropsy background, you know, you have the camp in the background, you have the canoes, which, you know, maybe that wasn't intended to be foreshadowing, but damn if it sure isn't.
The shears,
it's just that hue, it has that thing Struzan kind of emanation, even though Struzan's art came out after this shit, so fuck you, Struzan. But I'm just kidding. I take that back, Drew. I'm sorry. Can I call him Drew? I'm calling him Drew. But anyway,
Mr. Struzan, I'm sorry.
I'd have to like bring like my voice cracking back, like Mr. Struzan. Anyway, I'm never gonna make that voice again. So yeah, this is just really great art to me, and it makes me even the worst slashers had some of the best art. And I think if you really want to get butts in some seats to nowadays, maybe let's give people making some actual art again. Because you know what, if someone put out an art, like maybe if Netflix, you know what, Netflix, here's a business idea, this is free, $1 million idea, maybe multi-million dollars idea, just get people to make real art for your covers and more people watch the shitty movies you put out. But I don't know,
possible,
maybe it's my theory. I'm probably wrong, but that's also why I don't run Netflix. So
this is like a pretty solid, like underappreciated movie as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I just got the 4K, and like I've been needing to break that fucker out.
The who did the score? Rick Wakeman.
Yeah. Who also did part of
Yeah.
Creep Show 2 of Yes.
Yeah.
But you look at the poster and I can just hear the theme in my head.
Yeah. Classic.
Yeah.
Also underappreciated.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So that's The Burning. All right, John, what's the next one for you?
Oh, what was the next one for me? The next one for me is The Evil Dead.
Yes.
So this is another one where I fully expected to find out who did this and could not for the life of me find it.
Yeah.
I did learn that the girl in the poster is a voice actor, Bridget something or another, and that the model that they used for the arm is Ash himself.
Oh, nice.
I don't know, it's just brilliant. The Evil Dead font. You mean you got the Stephen King quote, and it's spectacular. I'm assuming that because they did utilize two real people, that they probably posed for photographs. And actually, the same woman was in a lot of the promotional materials. Like, there's a pretty famous photograph of her holding the chainsaw.
Oh shit.
There's a pretty popular picture of her kind of cowering behind Ash. She had absolutely nothing to do with the movie at all, but they used her for promotional photographs and stuff because she was pretty, I guess.
I think I see those posters if I picture them in my mind. I know the ones.
Yeah, it's just not overdone, and it's just creepy and extreme enough to get the point across. Like, this is another one where if it was just like a painting on a canvas, I'd probably pay $5,000 to some random guy on the street in Cleveland for it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just a really cool piece of art.
This was so the other one I picked that I have in common with Lowell, the overlap. I was going to pick this one or that one, because they're both pretty iconic to me. But yeah, this one absolutely rips. Absolutely rips.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one for you, Lowell. What's your pick?
Well, speaking of rhyming part threes with part one, Army of Darkness. Which I just love this. Like, it's saying so much, but if you've never heard of the Evil Dead, or you didn't know they were making an Evil Dead 3, this would bring up so many questions. Like, it's medieval times, but he kind of looks like in modern times, and why is there a chainsaw in medieval times? And like, from the director of Darkman, oh my god. But one of the best from the director, from the person who brought you whatever.
That Darkman's carrying a lot of weight for that entire sentence.
Seriously, and just one of the great taglines of horror in the 90s. And it's just, and I love that it's like the hero shot of him, but like he does kind of look like a buffoon. Like it looks like it verges on the border of parody, which
goes even shit-eating grin right there.
Yeah, and it's like a taste of it, but like the movie goes like even further. So it's like, you see the woman like grabbing his leg, and you're like, all right, but like it does add to like the overall, like, this is a ridiculous guy, and it's going to be a ridiculous movie, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I have the poster on my wall too. You can probably see. But
they just screen print. So Michael Hussar, the original artist, they just did a screen print of this one sheet, and I've got a copy. It's flattening right now. This is my other one that I overlap with you. This thing is sexy as fuck. Like, there's so much. Again, it says everything about the movie you would ever need to know. Even if you haven't seen it, you're extremely enticed. And if you have seen it, it's like picking out Easter eggs. You're like, oh, there's those guys. There's this shit.
Yeah. And like, honestly, they've put out several versions of this. I mean, the Anchor Bay triple, quadruple dips are ridiculous, but Screen Factory's put out a few versions with new artwork. I always appreciate new Screen Factory artwork, but you can't do better than this.
Yeah.
You just
no. This is iconic shit. And again, between this and the Evil Dead, to me, like, they both because the thing about Evil Dead 2 is it's very well remembered, but it's kind of it's very plain. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's called the eyeballs.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's very iconic, but it's like it's not like this is art.
I always thought it was dumb. Like, why is he's just looking at me? What am I supposed to feel about that? But
yeah, Matt,
whatever. Oh, but yeah.
Yes, my Photoshop skills and Google Slide skills are on par to recreate Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. But this
and
is
it looks like a Rosetta poster. Like it looks like a classic poster of Yore mixed with like something you'd see in Heavy Metal magazine.
like this is a Danielle Steele novel meets Conan.
Yeah, this could be like a creepy magazine cover.
Yeah, totally.
This was pretty close to making my cut. But I actually have a little bit more appreciation for the Enzo Ciardi version.
His is good. It's fucking weird.
And I have a screenshot.
Oh, yeah. And like I think Evil Ash putting his head back and like throwing up. Yeah, that one's good too. That's true.
So I didn't want to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Enzo's alternative movie, like the stuff that he was doing for movies in American movies released in Italy, like his Nightmare on Elm Street, is just that is talent. With the world lost a true legend when he passed. But anyway, yeah. So this movie, this poster rips. So we got one more. John, I'm gonna just scroll up by the process of elimination. It's quite easy to know which is next.
Yeah. This is my throwback number one. This is kind of a grail for me to own.
Nice.
I've owned like the thinner insert version of it in the past and sold it because I just wasn't satisfied because I know that's not what I want. Because like for some reason on the insert they like flip flop all the imagery and move things around and it irritated me. So this is one of those like if I can find a way to swing it without my wife finding out, I will own this one of these days. But it's ridiculous. Like you have what is I guess what people would now call the Home Depot skeleton hanging a woman in a gown. You have Vincent Price in the corner with a severed head. You have what appears to be a man in the bottom left-hand corner being pushed into a vat of acid. And then obviously the iconic haunted mansion imagery in the back of all of it. Can't remember what this guy's name is. Reynold Brown painted this. Reynold Brown was a pretty big deal back then. He did Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh wow.
Attack of the 50-Foot Woman was him. What was like the big he did Ben-Hur. I know that's not a horror film.
Yeah, but that's a big fucking movie.
Just like a crazy talented artist that was in very high demand back then. I mean, just look at how good
Vincent Price. Yeah, Vincent Price is
so deep. Like it glows in the dark.
Yeah, and then like the way that he does the shadow and the kind of the hue of the candlelight so well across, like, and then I'm a big sucker for detail, which is why I love so many of these older one sheets. Just like the way that the gates look and like the decrepit and that aspect of like, there's so much. The more you look at these, like
the brick can tell them apart.
Like the more you look, it's like I mean, it is art in the sense like the more you look at it, the more you can appreciate from it. I love the Harryhausen style fucking massive skeleton, with the evil brow. I mean, this is just top tier shit. I wish I had this much talent in my left fucking pinky tip, but anyway.
So if anybody's got like 15 grand, 16 grand laying around that they don't know what to do with, let me know.
Yeah. We're gonna start a Patreon, and the only benefit is gonna be that I don't know, we'll have to think about that. The benefit will be that we will eventually buy a one sheet.
We'll do a big reveal.
Well, Lowell, that leaves the last one to you. We've gone ahead and spoiled it for everyone.
Now, when I told you Creep Show, and I did send this one, I wasn't sure if our overlap was for the other one at the ticket counter, which is also
that's a solid poster too, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, what fucking movie has two iconic one sheets? It's crazy. But this one inches that one out. I just love this, and not just because you're getting like multiple horror movie posters in this one as well. It's kind of like a twofer, but it's just it speaks to like all of us horror fans as kids loving this stuff growing up. It's like, and it also perfectly captures the tone of the movie where it's scary, but it's also like, hey, what the hell's going on? But like the kid is in on it, so you don't know what you're getting. But it's like that classic Stephen King, Steven Spielberg of like you're in suburbia, but like the horror is like right there. Just beautiful. And the comic logos, the 10 cents, like my God, just no notes.
I mean, I just love like the subtlety of some of this stuff. Like if this is the where this is the comic that we're eventually going to be taking the stories. I mean, I have actually a reproduced version of this that Tom Savini signed over here. Yeah, this is I love this poster too, because as you just said, it speaks to every single horror fan. You could see yourself as that being that little shit-eating kid, like shit-eating grins kid there, just like and if Tom Atkins was your fucking stepdad in that movie, like wow. I mean, I'm sure some of us had either had or knew people whose parents were that stern, but yeah, everyone gets theirs, I guess. So
yeah, this was definitely 6-7 position for me. It was pretty close. This is my bedroom as a kid. We would go to the mom and pop VHS rental place and be like, "Ooh, I really like that poster, Greg. When you're done with it, can I have it?" I had posters on my wall at 7, 8 years old that I shouldn't have, but free is free.
Yeah. God bless the video store folk.
Yeah.
I mean, as we kind of started this off, there's not a bad print in a single one of these, and the silly part is like there's far more out there that we could have probably added on here. I mean, you can add
Earth ratio, yeah,
like pretty much all the 80s, all the 70s, all this pretty much everything from the. I mean, hell, you can go all back to the 30s, but like let's just keep it to a couple decades. Like the 70s and the 80s alone produced some of the best one sheet art, and you could just have a field day going back. And I mean, Possession had great art, like kind of a strange, like just kind of eerie vibe to it. Dawn of the Dead, I mean, that is just iconic shit.
I almost had Sleepaway Camp on.
With that was another one.
Just fantastic.
Yeah, I had some that were in there and then out of there and then back in there.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Oh yeah, Maniac
1980 is an excellent sheet. If we're going mod, like I said earlier, like It Follows, the original one. Obviously, there's a one sheet that's got like Micah Monroe and stuff on it. The hand painted woman looking in the rearview mirror. That's an artist, Akiko Sternberger, that's just like ridiculously talented in every way, shape, and form. I don't know that she's put out a movie poster that's not perfect. Obviously we're all into movies other than horror movies, but she recently released one for Oppenheimer that is awesome.
Yeah.
I ponied up for like a limited edition Giclée, like numbered to 10 for that because it is one of my favorite modern posters. I mean, there are a handful of modern movie posters that are decent.
Yeah, I mean I think of like Baby Driver. They had Roy Kurtz doing the Baby Driver one sheet, which it was a cool one sheet. I mean, I like that. I don't know why people don't like that. I hate that movie so much. I don't get the hate that movie receives, but I guess maybe people just don't like Edgar Wright, but that's their.
The Descent has a really good one sheet.
Oh yeah,
that almost made it too with the skulls.
With the skull made out of.
The Descent, that's based on an actual painting. I forget what it is, but it's like an old, like I think it's Spanish painting. But the Matt Ryan Tobin used that same source painting for his Society print, which is basically just the same concept, like but it's all naked bodies like intertwined each other, like in that skull. It's pretty gross. I fucking love it. So there's a lot of good art.
That original. Like, I've never been as hyped to watch a horror movie that I didn't think I was going to be hyped for since that first new Candyman teaser poster. It's just like it's just a white background, the hook, a drop of honey, and a bee on the hook, and it says "say his name," and I'm like, "Fuck me, that is amazing." The film is fine. It's pretty good. It's fine to pretty good, but man, that poster that should win an award. And also we're doing teaser posters now, so it's not even fair. But the teaser poster for the first Purge is perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've had some decent marketing material out there, but there was also the Puppet Master, like Littlest Reich one. She was really entertaining. I love, like, even though I think that there are I think that the Hellraiser one sheet is very iconic, but I don't love that it's pretty much just a photo of Pinhead.
Yeah, it's too blatant.
When you start to get to the end of the 80s, it becomes, and that's why it's so hard to find good posters in like the 90s, is because a lot of that stuff was just, we don't need an artist anymore. We could just digitally like cut paste shit and put it together. That's where you get the floating heads.
Put your boogeyman up front. Yeah, even before like the screen floaty heads, which I always hated. I love that movie, but the floaty heads phenomenon can go fuck itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you would just, I'm sort of fascinated with early 90s horror. Like Hellraiser 3 is just Pinhead, like with a city behind him, and it's just like, look, you know what you're gonna see, so let's just put it front and center, no thought or imagination. That started even before Scream.
Yeah. And anything but we lost, the good news is that it still thrives in like online communities, and like there's still plenty. I mean, paper is big business nowadays, so like there's a lot of prints being made for a lot of movies. And a lot of movies are being reproduced in various different formats. So we get one sheets, that we can hold on to with better quality. But hey, it's out there. Buy cool art, support good artists, and maybe if they just invested in more independent art for streaming stuff, we would. Hey, I'm not gonna die on that hill. But anyway, that's the episode. It's been great. Thank you, John, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, and we'll be back next time. Probably, but we will. We always come back.
We'll be pre-gaming for October, which is between Fantastic Fest at the end of September and October, like, get ready for it is all I can say. Oh my God.
I'm gonna be between moving, all kinds of shit. It's gonna be a busy month, but we will make it. We will persevere. But yeah, that's the show this month. I don't know what the fuck we're gonna talk about next month, but we'll figure that out before then. So
we always do.
But without further ado, it's stay safe, be good, and watch more horror movies. Adios.
Peace.